A boy disappears overnight and returns days later, but he speaks of a life he never lived. He knows people, places, and a job he couldn't possibly have. The last thing he says changes everything. I'll show you the tape. This is the unsettling case of Jonah Parker. During a fierce storm, 7-year-old Jonah ran from his house toward a neighbor's, and then he vanished. For 3 agonizing days, his family and local police searched tirelessly. A statewide alert was issued, but there were no leads, no witnesses, no signs of a struggle. It was as if he'd been erased from existence. Then, on the 3rd night, Jonah simply walked back home. He was covered in mud, but physically unharmed. His parents were overcome with relief, but that relief quickly turned to confusion and then to a creeping dread. The boy who returned wasn't the same one who had left. The police brought in a child specialist to speak with Jonah. They expected to hear a story of being lost in the woods or a traumatic encounter. Instead, what they got was something far stranger. Jonah sat calmly, his voice steady, and recounted his last few days. He said he'd been working, described his shifts at a factory, a place that didn't exist anywhere in the region. He named his coworkers, giving them vivid personalities and backstories. He even complained about his foreman, a man named Arthur who was too strict about break times. He then took a crayon and drew a detailed floor plan of a large, complex building. Labeling rooms he called the sorting bay, the assembly line, and the finishing room. He had never been to a place like this, used adult phrases, talking about production quotas and shift rotations when shown a local train schedule. He pointed to a specific line and said, "That's the 5:15. It's always late." How could a 7-year-old know any of this? The mystery deepened when they analyzed the physical evidence. Underneath Jonah's fingernails, they found microscopic traces of a rare industrial compound, a material not used in any local industries. His blood panel came back completely normal. But the most chilling clue came from a neighbor's security camera that caught his return. For a split second, a blurry second figure can be seen walking behind him before disappearing from the frame. The image was too distorted to identify anyone or anything. Investigators were stumped. The factory he described didn't exist. The people he named were nowhere to be found, but one detective had a hunch. He took Jonah's hand-drawn blueprint to the city archives. For days, he sifted through old records, looking for a match. He finally found one. It was a blueprint for a warehouse that had been demolished over 20 years ago, long before Jonah was even born. The layout was an exact match to Jonah's drawing, down to the last room. The warehouse had been torn down in 1999. Jonah was born in 2012. There was no possible way he could have known its layout. The boy was describing a place that hadn't existed for 13 years before he was born. The case had just gone from strange to impossible. The trail of evidence seemed to lead nowhere. K-29 units were brought in to trace Jonah's path home. The dogs followed a scent trail from his house to a nearby concrete culvert, and then it just stopped cold. There was no scent leading away from the culvert, as if he had materialized right there. Frustrated, investigators re-examined every piece of available footage. They found a single, almost imperceptible detail on a traffic camera along the route. For just 0.3 seconds, Jonah's reflection appears on the side of a passing car's window. A moment before he physically enters the frame, in the reflection, he's holding a small metallic object, something like a token, and on its surface, an engraved symbol was faintly visible. But before we reveal what Jonah whispered about the room with no windows, listen to what the token contained. What he said next sent a chill through the entire investigation team. A materials analyst was brought in to examine the strange residue found under Jonah's fingernails. It perfectly matched the microscopic particles found on the metal token from the video's reflection. The alloy was rare, used primarily in high-precision, experimental equipment, nothing a child would ever come into contact with. Simultaneously, a forensic psychologist reviewed the tapes of Jonah's interviews. She noted that his behavior was entirely inconsistent with a typical trauma response. He wasn't scared or confused. He was detached, descriptive, almost bored, as if he were simply recounting a series of mundane work shifts rather than a terrifying abduction. He spoke with the vocabulary and syntax of a seasoned factory worker, not a 7-year-old boy. The psychologist concluded, "It's not that he's lying. It's that he genuinely believes these memories are his own." He's recalling a life he somehow lived. The team decided to enhance the final frame of the security footage from his return home, the one showing the mysterious second figure. After hours of digital processing, something new emerged. The second figure remained a blur, but Jonah's face was now clearer. For a fraction of a second, he looks directly past the camera, as if it's someone just out of view. His lips move and he mouths a single, silent word.
A word.
The word was the exact name of the demolished factory from the archives.
Bad.
Immediately after, he claps a hand over his mouth.
Bad.
When asked about it later, he couldn't recall the name at all. The memory was gone. That night, Jonah's parents recorded him talking in his sleep. Over and over, he repeated the same phrase, "Keep the order, keep the order." Acting on a final, desperate hunch, authorities excavated the site of the demolished warehouse. Buried deep under the old concrete foundation, they found a sealed metal box. It was empty, but strangely it was still warm to the touch. And on its lid was the same engraved symbol from the token in Jonah's reflection. Over the following weeks, Jonah's strange memories began to fade. The details of the factory, the names of his coworkers, the technical jargon, it all dissolved like a dream upon waking. He started acting like a normal 7-year-old again. But sometimes, late at night, he still wakes up, calling out names of people that no one has ever known. The case remains open, an unsolved file filled with impossible evidence. Was Jonah taken somewhere else? A place that operates on different rules of time and space? Or did someone or something come here and leave him with memories that were never his to begin with? What do you think happened to Jonah Parker? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching.